Hi everybody, welcome back to another Stoneforge gaming video. And today we are going to be doing kind of a weird one. This is actually going to be the video that I post up on Easter, as it is not necessarily Easter themed, yet it does use some things that you would find around Easter. It's a very basic terrain piece that you could do, anybody can do up, and it's extremely cheap. You don't need very many tools to do it, just some basic paints, a couple of the things that you're going to find from Easter, and then, at least if you have kids, and then you will have basically a little bit of hot glue, paint it up, you're all good to go. So we're going to go over to the bench and take a look at it. Alright, so what we have here are a couple of, well, they're made out of Easter eggs. And they're like some of the big ones, so like this one here, you can see compared to the size of my hand, would have been one of those really big Easter eggs that they would have hold, I don't know, books and weird stuff like that they put in for kids around Easter. But everybody knows that we have these around, they're sitting around. If you have kids or you're around kids during Easter, this sort of stuff just kind of gets thrown in the trash. Or you could take it and make really weird alien or aberration style terrain that would be great for a lot of different systems. Now, what I did here on all these, you can see I only painted the outside because obviously you can't really, I mean, you can kind of see in, but it almost adds to the weirdness that you see a little bit of this light shining through. So what I did was, these were like a lot of these Easter eggs, they come in two halves, so I used the one half so that they would sit flat on a table. And then the other half, I would either, like this one was to one of the Easter eggs that was the bottom half that would sit flat on a table. And you could actually do something if you wanted to where you could have the two halves put together, but I didn't do anything like that. I just did what looked like kind of an alien hive mound poking up out of the ground. And so what I did there was I melted a couple of holes into each one of these. You can see I just used one of those long lighters. I didn't have a blowtorch on hand, plus I think if I use anything that has too high of a temperature, you're just going to melt giant holes. So I just used one of those long lighters, melted some holes into them, and then what I did was I took a bunch of this. You see the texture on here is all hot glue. So what I did was I took some of the long form hot glue, basically just kind of went to town on it. Take the idea of like a 5-year-old kid who is coloring with crayons or something like that and just kind of go all over it, and then basically just go in every direction. And then around the holes, what I did was I did drag that around so it looked like maybe it was kind of bursting out from there, and let that all dry. And then I sanded off a little bit of the excess just so there's not any of the little strings or anything like that. And then I began to paint it up. I painted them up base coat of a brown, and then I did some base coats of a dark green around the holes here because I wanted sort of almost an insectoid organic kind of feel, almost like the movie Aliens or something like that, like where the eggs would pop open, but I wanted to add some of the green effects and everything. You could use these for like Tyranids, or maybe a mind flayer hold up, or a beholder, or any of those sort of weird aberrations from, say, D&D or any sort of game like that. As long as there's basically creepy, weird, organic sort of monsters, this will kind of work for you. And what I did was I made them large enough to where it would look like feasibly a regular size miniature could fit through and actually like squeeze through, so something like a Tyranid size, like a Gene Stealer or something could come tearing up out of here and wreak havoc. Then I kind of stippled a little bit of the green into, you can see here underneath the on top of that first layer of brown, and I dry brushed up with almost like a skin looking color because again I wanted to have some sort of that organic feel. Then I dry brushed a little bit more around the edges of the holes just to kind of give them a brighter green, and then finish those off with I like this one on the top here because it looks just really gross. I finished that off with a heavy gloss varnish to finish it all off, and then yeah, we're all said and done, and you have I just did 3 of them up because I didn't necessarily need a whole lot of them. But then you could do up a whole table full of this if you wanted to land on some weird alien planet that maybe is infested by these Tyranids or whatever other sort of aliens, or like say if you're in the Underdark or anything like that, it would work. And then you got some weird alien-looking pods with all these weird dripping green gooey holes coming out of them. So I hope you've all enjoyed taking a look at these. Like I say, this is the video that I'm going to put up on Easter, as it is somewhat Easter themed. Not necessarily anything that much, but just kind of some of the materials and whatnot are Easter themed. So hope you've all enjoyed taking a look at them, and I will see you all in the next one.